When the engine in my L-4 started getting in the way of me having a good time, I decided on another motor. And anytime you add a DA motor to a plane, things get better. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the DA35 because I've already done a review on it. And not so surprising was finding out that the mounting pattern for the DA35 was just like the old engine. That made swapping this engine out simple. One of the big reasons people like DA motors, and me included, is that you spend more time flying them and less time trying to start them. For most of us, flying is always way more fun. The only real change we made to the L4 was to move as much weight forward as we could. This DA35 is about a half a pound lighter than the EME35 it's replacing. To get the CG back where it's supposed to be, I moved everything I could forward, like the batteries. I also added a heavy hub that I had sitting around, and that did the trick. I'm using another 20B vest prop on it like we had on the other engine. I expected a little bit more power, as that always happens when you switch to a DA engine. I already knew that the L4 flew pretty good, but I wanted to see how much different it'd be with the DA35 in it. Definitely didn't lose any power. Seeing as how this is a new engine combination for this plane, I did a couple of approaches just to make sure I had the RPMs right. I just like to know that if need be, I can get this thing slowed down for a quick landing. Idle wasn't a problem, but we were finding that at speed, this plane wanted to balloon a lot. With the old heavier engine, there was some difference between high speed and low speed trims. The L4 wanted to balloon a little bit before, but now with the DA in it, that ballooning was way more pronounced. I had set up F modes, and we found that the landing mode for the lower speed hadn't changed a whole lot. The L4 on approach was pretty easy to manage. We had some pretty gusty winds coming directly in at the flight line, so I was trying to keep the upwind wing down a little bit, and that last one was a little more than a little bit. I was still making a lot of changes to try and get that ballooning out of the high-speed flight. While I was making a lot of changes to try and control the ballooning at high speed, lower speed stuff, like for landing, remained virtually the same. I made a couple little changes initially when the first flight with this new motor, but after that it stayed the same. Eventually we decided that because of the extra speed that the DA35 brought to the plane, we might need some down thrust. A little bit of unwanted upthrust may have been there the whole time, but it didn't really show itself until we got the plane going a little faster. So I decided to add one plain washer under each of the top motor mounts. Now with that little bit of down thrust added to the DA35, we'll see how the plane acts. And just after liftoff, it seemed a whole lot better. Then when I turned it downwind and left the gas wide open, it didn't climb at all. In fact, I had to take a little bit of the down trim out of it. I was bumping the nose up and down at speed to see if the plane would handle any differently, but it was nice and solid all the way. I could roll the L4 in towards the runway, leave the gas wide open, and let go of the sticks, and it flew straight and level. All it needed was those washers under the top motor mounts, and that cured the ballooning problems. As with the other engine, I equipped the DA35 with a Vest 20B prop, so that was the same. All that remained was to do a couple hundred touch and goes that confirmed that everything is fine. And the DA35 was perfectly happy doing those too. And now with a DA35 in my plane, I get to sit around and relax more instead of working on my airplane.